Here's Rineman in the Morning, on demand from 102.1 and 105.3, The Shark. It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Well, on Saturday, we all got up to watch a bunch of gapped-toothed human chess pieces whose butts we kicked in a war. That's right, it was King Charles' coronation, but Prince Harry was sitting in the third row, and he only got that by going on StubHub. Yes, Prince Harry was forced to sit in the third row, while Prince Andrew was forced to sit at least 300 yards from the nearest playground.
And that's your news on the nines. Now on Rineman in the Morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
Megan, what's going on?
So a Massachusetts high school is performing a production of Legally Blonde, and they were surprised by a star of White Lotus surprising them with a video.
Oh, that's a bit of a double tease there. You blew your angle. I know who this is.
Well, there's someone who is in White Lotus who we all know and love from
You love her so much.
Legally Blonde.
You do an impression of her,
Oh,
I think.
my God.
That's it. Hey, Ryan. Hey,
this is it.
Rineman,
I'm leaving.
when I put together the on-demand, you're hearing it live on the radio. Rineman, when you listen back to that, that is the button for this week's on-demand episode. Available only on the Shark app. It's the first time you and Megan talked on Monday. You're getting old. You're 40 now. I'm sorry. Megan, any other details?
I want you to have a button in the studio where whenever anything happens and you feel the need, just press it and you just hear, oh, my God.
We need a button board. We need a button board because you always get the button. Last week you had, I need a drink. That was your quote.
Oh,
and it worked perfectly because it was Cinco de Mayo. But this week, we need a button board. The Megan button board. And then what we can do is...
I'm slamming the table. I'm so excited.
You know what could be fun? What if we had the Megan button board and then we let people vote on Thursday? What button are we put it on Shark Instagram?
No.
Why not? I'll put all the options. I'll say, you pick the button.
I have a talent for saying things and I'll forget I said them. And then my friends will tell me remember when you said that thing? And I'll be like, I have no memory of that. And then they'll tell me a word by word account of what I said to them.
Well, Megan, it's called being an excellent sidekick.
It's called being...
Which is what you are on right now.
It's fair, but
I have this thing where I come in every now and then and I say a few couple things and then I walk out. Yes, that's
I also
what you
just
do.
have a bad memory.
What's that?
I said I also just have a bad memory.
What was the button again?
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
What a day for Camilla. In the morning, she becomes queen, and she places fifth in the Kentucky Derby.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on this beautiful Monday that's beautiful in our hearts and minds, no matter where you are and whatever you're listening on the Shark app?
Wow, we're rambling this morning already. Have you had your coffee?
A bit too much, yes. But does that have to do with our story at all?
It does not, unfortunately.
Good segue. What are we talking about?
But there is food involved.
Oh, well, then
we all love food.
Yeah.
So the Boston Globe recently published a summer road trip list of 24 food items that they'd like us to try throughout New England.
Nice. Did Dan Shaughnessy write an article and make fun of all the food and say how they're all losers that shouldn't be in town anymore?
No one made fun of any food, but 2 New Hampshire restaurants were actually featured. One for their tacos, another for their pancakes. So,
you could have easily made this about coffee. I'm so upset now. I'm disappointed.
Well, blame the Globe. They didn't feature coffee for New Hampshire.
You know, we should blame the Globe. It's all the Globe's fault. You need to get your information from the Shark app.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
The ongoing writers' strike caused MTV to cancel its live awards show. MTV was so desperate, they almost played some music videos. 2 beaches in New Hampshire made a list of the best secret beaches in the U.S., after which they immediately filled with drunk tourists from Quebec. A Hilton hotel guest says he woke up to an employee sucking his toes, or as Motel 6 calls that, spa service.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions, I'm told.
Randy Pierce is gearing up for the New Hampshire Walk of Sight. Tell me more, Rineman, because I know nothing.
Let me tell you something, and I say this in the article, that, it was one of those days where there was something going on. There was a storm or something, and for some reason, anything electrical, including the studio, the Shark Tank, was giving some pushback that day and making things a little bit tough.
Okay.
And so it was one of those quote, those days where you're like, I'm Garfield. I'm having one of those days in the morning. And then Randy Pierce came in and turned my day around, and I'll never forget it. He was so welcoming. He could tell that I was a little bit frazzled. And then his story blew me away. And he was so nice to talk to. And we hope to have him back. But they have the big Walk for Sight. It's going to be going on up in Concord. And it's to help and benefit people who are visually impaired here in the Granite State. Mm-hmm. But he might be the most fascinating person I've ever met. He has 2 black belts, and he has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I was like, well, that's it. I don't stop. That's enough stuff right there.
Nobody. I am nothing.
even those pugs were like, ruff, ruff, that guy better than us.
Dang.
But if you want to help out, go to the Shark app and read all about Randy Pierce and the Walk for Sight. That's coming up very shortly in Concord. I saw a gentleman at the Beach Plum, Northampton yesterday. I was wearing a Celtics shirt. It's right after the game. And the guy comes up to me and he says, boys, Celtics. This is how I'm not mocking him. It's how he talks. Boys, Celtics. Boy, they really blew that, huh? They blew it today. Now, I don't know if you watched the game. The Celtics were losing by almost 20 points for a lot of the game. And I say, what do you mean they blew it? He goes, yeah, they had the lead. They let it go away. I was like, they were losing the whole game. They forced overtime on the road. Tatum didn't. I don't think he scored any points in the first half, and we still got to overtime. And then the guy leans into my face and he goes, "Hey, I've been a season ticket holder for 23 years." And then he just walks away. What? Your excuse is you watch the games? I watch the games too. I don't pay anything. I watch them on TV. I see the same game as you. You're not on the team. Your brag is that you have season tickets. That's why you still don't know how the game works? Well, congratulations. You're rich and dumb. Anyway, that was his best argument, that he has season tickets. I got in a couple arguments this weekend. This is the funny one. My daughter, we were having an argument, and she says to me, "You're not funny now. You'll never be funny. And even when you were a kid, you were never funny." Wow. And I didn't make her clean up nothing. I said, very good. I know, and I've been had. What's your go-to comeback when you're about to lose an argument? And Rich in Georgetown, you're listening because you say you need some tips. What do you do when you're losing an argument?
I'll just get out of it. Just say I have to go.
Do a little dance when you say I have to go, and then they'll go, "Oh my God, bathroom! I got it. No big deal.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine." Yeah. You know him, you love him. Patrick in Newmarket.
What you end up saying is you go, after this conversation, I've realized you're about as sharp as a marble.
Sharp as a marble. Got it. Gonna write that one down. I notice a trend. A lot of guys calling in. Is it because we're always the ones having to use our comebacks and arguments? Are women never wrong?
It's time for your News on the Nines with News Guy.
A new study found that Republicans and Democrats each trust the Weather Channel. However, one group leaves it on to keep their cats company, while the other leaves it on to keep their dogs company. Henry Kissinger gave an interview where he warned against electing an old president. That's right, Henry Kissinger. Even Biden was like, "Whatever, Grandpa." New Jersey has a new law that bans parents from yelling at Little League umpires, which is strange, as a parent yelling at a Little League umpire is the state flag of New Jersey.
And that's your News on the Nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on? Got your tongue over there, Megan? What's your cat's name again?
I had to go.
What's your cat's name? Missy Elliott? What's her name?
My cat's name is Emmy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Miss
and
Emmy,
I love
whatever.
my cat with my whole heart. Don't be a baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got for me? What's on the Shark app?
So, speaking of animals, it turns out there might be a limit to how many dogs you can legally own in New Hampshire.
Well, I think I'm in favor of that. I like that people try to take the dogs on, but yeah, there's a limit.
Yeah, because there comes a point when their quality of life probably isn't incredible if you have an insane amount of dogs. Unless you're filthy rich and you have the money to hire someone to...
Well, hey, let's also say maybe you're a farmer and you have all that land. And
that's true.
They have all the places to go. I know there's a farm right near where I grew up. They had a lot of dogs all the time, but also the dogs help out. They keep the sheep from running in the street. They're like crossing guard dogs.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, who do you know with the most pets?
I'll tell you that right now. I think that would probably be my own mom, as a matter of fact.
How many does she have?
Okay, so 2 dogs. There's always 2 Goldens in the house throughout the years. 2 cats. There's a turtle named Herman.
Aw.
And it's a she. And Herman just turned 26 years old over the holidays. 26.
It's older than me.
Oh, my God, that's right. Megan, you just like shook my world. The next time I go there and see that turtle, I'm going to go, dude, we're both older than Megan. We're done. Celtics and Sixers play tonight at the Garden. Let's get an update.
And now, here's sports in 10 seconds with the Sportsman.
Celtics should tell their coach the game's tomorrow night.
That's your sports in 10 seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app and Megan has questions.
So everyone knows the coronation of King Charles happened over the weekend.
Actually, I would say that not everyone knows, and dare I say cares, but yes, that did happen. We know that some people like the royal family.
Someone got a crown put on their head.
Yes.
And it was a thing.
Not at Burger King. It happened for real in England. And
but King Charles paid a visit to New England at one point, did he not?
We had a king, and it wasn't, usually they stop through Boston and stuff. I know it's what the Queen did, but no, he was like off 495, dude. He was like touring around. He went on like a sightseeing tour. And like at the time, was Diana with him at the time? This was a while ago. She hung back in Boston, I believe. I think she was on the trip.
Okay.
But no, he went to the people listening to the Shark and listening to Rineman in the Morning and hung out, and everyone said he was cool. Then I mean, at
the time.
Yeah. But no, it was a very cool story. But we were talking about this, that it's getting harder and harder to root for who you want to be king. It's sort of like our political scope. Would you say? That
correct.
You look at the royal family, you're like, I don't really know who I want, but we did. I know. We landed on someone.
We were in agreement.
Yeah.
I want Prince Louis to be king.
Yes.
Is it Louis or Louis?
Now, it's a Louis. He's definitely a Louis.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was having this conversation with someone. They said, is it Louis or Louis? And I'm like, I don't really care. I'm saying Louis.
If you don't know, he's their youngest son. He's like Prince William and Kate Middleton.
He's 3, 4 years old?
He's in all those viral videos. And he's telling he's talking back to his mom, but he's not just doing that. He's doing hand motions. He's doing, hey, I got my eyes on you. He's doing the thumb nose thing.
There's a clip.
He's amazing.
I shared a picture on Facebook. They caught a picture of him yawning during the coronation.
Oh, God bless.
I shared it to
God
Facebook.
Bless the prince. I want him to be king so badly.
Me too.
I want them to change it so you can vote and everyone gets to vote. So it'll be like Eurovision or America's Got Talent. Shout out to Howie. But until then, read all about King Charles's visit to Lowell and other places off 495. It's on the Shark app.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
A beach in Massachusetts has banned alcohol. Said locals, that's cool, we'll just get trashed in the parking lot. A family in Georgia has been living in an underground bunker for 3 years. When asked for comment, they said, are the murder hornets gone yet? Nantucket residents have voted against short-term housing rentals. The other thing they voted against? Limericks about Nantucket.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Now, Megan, before we talk about what else is happening on the Shark app, we were talking a little bit more about the royal family.
We have a lot of opinions on the royal family.
There was a documentary that came out where Prince Harry tells all.
Well, it was in the book, Spare.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I didn't actually read Spare.
Okay.
And it was in part because of some of the content I heard was in Spare, including when he went into detail about how his manhood got frostbite.
Now, see, I disagree. That's the one part I do want to hear about.
No, but then it got weirder because he mentioned something of, I don't even know.
It's the morning. Tell me what's happening on the Shark app.
So there's an Airbnb in Maine that, get this, is made entirely of shipping containers.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I saw that. Wow. Because I was like, right, I thought another ship got stuck or something. I was like, are we in trouble?
I don't think that's the picture of the actual Airbnb.
Did they just take that ship that was stuck and say, hey, let's make it an Airbnb?
I don't know if that's the picture of the actual Airbnb, but it got me thinking about, I think that there's also a house somewhere in New England made entirely of, newspapers that one of our coworkers wrote about. Have you heard of any other homes that are just made of weird or wacky materials?
Yes, I have actually. I heard about a house that's made of straw. Oh, and this other house is made of sticks and leaves, I guess.
There's a book called House of Leaves.
Then there was a house that was made of brick, and the wolf couldn't do anything to it. Tried as hard as he could.
Oh,
couldn't blow it down.
Poor wolf.
No one ever talks about the wolf. Do you know there's a guy named Wolfie in Seabrook? Wrote in on the Shark app yesterday.
Oh, really? What did he have to say?
I just wanted to hear a song. But I said to him, hey, Wolfie, before that full moon the other night, were you called Manny? Get it?
And now, here's sports in 10 seconds with the Sportsman.
Joe Mazzulla's that dad who won't look at a road map.
That's your sports in 10 seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
I asked you, what's your best comeback if you're in an argument? And Dan in Sanford, you actually have a story to tell me. Go ahead.
Back in 2010, I was working as a bank teller, and I had this very rude woman at the drive-thru. She was just arguing. She wasn't taking any answer that we have. She doesn't even want to talk to the manager anymore. She wants to talk to the president of the bank.
Whoa.
So I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Fine. Here's our customer service. No, I want the direct number. Who's your president? Who's your president? Who's your president? Barack Obama.
Hey, man, historically accurate.
Everybody was cracking up. The people behind her in line were cracking up, and she just had a big red face and just drove off.
Oh, man. You should have put her through to Obama. Oh, look, I already bailed these banks out once. Don't make me do it again. Make sure you keep it here. The Sharkathon starts in 3 at 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Rineman in the morning. No, I can't run again.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
President Biden wants airlines to give money to passengers whose flights are delayed. Because if there's anyone who won't stand for taking too long to do something, it's President Biden. Speaking of politics, when Donald Trump goes door to door campaigning, will that count as informing families he lives in the neighborhood? Congratulations to Robert De Niro, who just welcomed a new baby. Or as De Niro put it, are you crawling to me? Are you crawling to me?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the morning.
I guess today is the drummer for one of my favorite bands of all time. They'll be at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion on July 8th with their Last Summer on Earth tour. Please welcome to Rineman in the morning from Barenaked Ladies, Tyler Stewart. Tyler, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Thank you very much for having me on this morning.
Again, you're appearing at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, July 8th. I saw a video you made on Instagram. You called it not just the best venue, you called it the only venue. Why do you love Guilford, New Hampshire so much?
Well, that's a good question. Now, first of all, it's in a nice location on lakeside.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool. But honestly, they pull out all the stops there. They have the best catering in America. Backstage, they feed you like you're a king. They put a pool in. There's a mini golf course.
Oh.
There's all kinds of bicycles to ride. There's a fire pit. There's basketball courts. Man, it's the best day ever before the show. Usually there's a massage therapist there. It's like you are so relaxed and ready to rock that the shows tend to be rather joyous occasions. So the pavilion, man, we love it.
We love you here in New England. We're coming up on a big anniversary. 25 years ago, you guys released Stunt, and 80,000 people showed up to greet you. 80,000 people showed up to greet you at City Hall Plaza in Boston on release day.
Oh, my God. Like that day, July back in 1998, that was absolutely incredible because we had been in New York that morning doing Carson Daly on Total Request Live on MTV. Remember MTV, kids? They used to show music. We were rolling in that morning. It was absolutely incredible. Like, there's this traffic jam, I had taken a nap on the bus, and then I got up. I was like, oh, there must be like a Red Sox game or something going on down here or some sort of construction. Maybe that was the days of the Big Dig. Maybe we thought we were being diverted somewhere or something. But no. Turns out the traffic, lo and behold, was for us. People coming to City Hall to see our little band. There's people in the parking garages behind City Hall Plaza. There's people in trees.
Yeah.
It was insane, man. It was one of the greatest days of my life.
And you can see Barenaked Ladies again in Boston at the Leader Bank Pavilion on Sunday, July 9th. But before that, at the only venue, the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion in Guilford, Saturday, July 8th.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Here's a golf update. I smashed my TV with the 5-iron watching the Celtics last night.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the morning.
Megan, what's going on?
The Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series Tour is coming to Boston. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically people dive off of buildings into water or some other safe
I've heard about this. This is very cool.
Yeah, so it's the only stop in the entire United States. And they go to the Institute of Contemporary Art, which is in the Seaport District in Boston.
Sure.
Would you do that? Would you dive from 90 feet up?
No, that was when I worked at Channel 7 in Boston, and I lived in South Boston, so that was right on my way to work. So I used to see that stuff. So yeah, the traffic kind of slows down, and I think I saw 2 or 3 of the people do it. No, I wouldn't even watch it. I'm a little bit too much of a wimp. But are you going to go see it?
I probably not. I mean, if someone invites me, then sure, but I'm a little too far away.
Yeah, I'm not a jump off of things kind of person.
I will watch.
Yeah, I hurt my wrist when I was a kid. I fell off. I tried to do the monkey bars, but like across the monkey bars, when you're on top, didn't end well.
Oh.
Yeah, broke my wrist.
See, I've always been such a big chicken. Like, I was able to jump off of a diving board maybe 10 feet, like a standard one, like a standard. I don't know if there is a standard height, but
well, check it out on the Shark app. It's the Red Bull Cliff Divers, right? Coming to Boston, jumping off buildings. It's Rineman in the morning. It's time for your Shark Seacoast forecast, brought to you by P. Gagnon and Son. Good morning, Mark Rosenthal.
Good morning, Mr. Rineman. What's happening?
Let me ask you a question, Mark. Did anyone ever throw you a surprise party? Did you ever throw a surprise party for anyone? And are there any funny stories or shenanigans that came out of that?
Yes. On my 24th birthday, my former wife threw me a surprise party, and she had all these people come and everything. There was a weather guy named Bob Copeland, who you don't know, and Dick Albert. And we started, they were all...
I know Dick Albert, sure. I know Dick Albert.
Okay. Well, we all started throwing each other in the pool fully clothed, which is pretty crazy stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Weatherman, throwing... Yeah, you all had a cold front at that point, didn't you, Mark?
No!
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
MTV News is shutting down. When asked if they'll play music videos again, MTV said, haha, thanks for the laugh. Experts are teaching people in Japan how to smile after years of wearing COVID masks, while experts are teaching people in Germany to smile after years of being German. Beetlejuice 2 starts filming this week. I don't want to say it's been a while since the first one, but Michael Keaton's not even wearing makeup.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the morning.
Just recently here on Rineman in the morning, I had 2 guys from Barenaked Ladies, Stephen Page and Tyler Stewart. And because they were talking about this time in Massachusetts and here in New England, 80,000 New Englanders showed up to this signing that was supposed to be 1,000 people, and it made them famous. We made those guys famous. And because of that, they all have lives, careers. They went on, they had families. We did that here in New England. That's a good surprise. Did you ever have a bad surprise party? I'll tell you my story real quick. I hate to do this because I love my sister, Stephanie. Hi, Steph. But Stephanie, my sister, the coolest, most calm person I know. Like, she is just ice water in the veins, never chokes, never blows, just cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott used to say. I had a surprise party when I was in 7th grade. They kept it secret for about 6 weeks. Everyone was in on it. And as I'm walking into the house, as I'm going in, I am 20 yards, not even 10 yards from this all coming to fruition. My sister goes, "He's coming," and runs. And you hear everyone go, "Ah." That's the only time, but I have that fun story. And that's the present. That made the party for me. Thanks, Steph.
Now on Rineman in the morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
We reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
I know you had a conversation with Howie Mandel recently,
yes,
and he gave you some germ-related advice.
Well, not so much advice, but just I was listening to Howie talk, because Howie's been very open, especially right now, as we talked about. It's May is Mental Health Month, and he's been very open about his obsessive compulsive disorder, and we know that Howie is really struggles with the idea of germs, and has really had to overcome a lot to get back out on tour. I think that's great. But, he was talking about it, and he put so much of it on himself. And it's like, my disorder, and it's like, that's very admirable, but I don't disagree. I think that's just, especially now, there's so much going around. I don't want to shake everybody's hand. I'm a handshaker. I believe in that if you're friends with somebody.
Do not say that to someone who actually struggles with that, though, because that just might worsen their anxiety.
I like a fist bump, but that's what I said. I came up with what I think is a very simple strategy that offices, that people at dinner parties, that barbecues you could use. And I'll give you a hint. It involves something you just put on your person. as they say. A little tiny something you put on your shirt, and it gives an indication about how comfortable you are.
Oh.
If you're a handshaker, if you're a fist bumper, or if you're I'd rather just wave. And I think it's just a very simple thing. And that's what I think is, I think we should adopt it. It's on the Shark app right now. What are you, a handshaker or fist bumper?
I'll do a handshake, but
I've never shaken your hand before, I've realized.
You want to shake hands on air?
Let's do
we can't reach.
Let's do fist bump. All right,
okay, cool.
That was for you, Howie. We both went for it at the last minute.
Appreciate you, Howie.
This is too weird. It's 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Classic hits of the Seacoast. Be right back. More Rineman in the morning. We'll work up to the handshake.
We will. We will.
Show like 300, maybe.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Slip and slide should be in the Olympics.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
I asked you, what is your favorite surprise party story? Patrick from Newmarket.
So, it was this bar I used to go to in Manchester. One of them sent me a text, said, "Hey, come on in, we got a surprise for you." I said, I hate surprises. I go in, they have this giant sheet cake for me, and it says happy birthday. And so I cut it up, and I go, "Well, who wants a piece?" And they go, "Oh, I don't like cake." And they're like, "Oh, I got to work, so I can't eat any." So they left me this giant sheet cake for myself.
And nothing says happy birthday like cake by yourself.
I was just like, "Thanks, guys. Love you too." Oh, it was one of the best. It was one of the best birthdays ever. It was fantastic.
You're fantastic, Patrick, and we love you on Ryman in the Morning.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
After a string of lies, Congressman George Santos was indicted on 13 charges of fraud. Said Santos, "How dare you do this to me, the new King of England?" The Northern Lights were visible over New Hampshire last night. Either that or I ate some expired Thai food again. A new study says a third of scientific papers are made up. Well, how do I know that study isn't made up? And seriously, were you guys able to see the Northern Lights, or should I call 911?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
It is springtime, and I am so incredibly happy about it, Rineman. You look so sad.
It's my allergies. I'm trying to think.
You just gave me a death glare.
No, this is just how I look right now. I was honest. I was forthcoming. I went on the Shark Instagram and said, "This is how I look right now." Did you see that yesterday when I did the before and after, where I was like,
"Oh my gosh,
this is me, like getting ready to get a shower. Let's hope for the best."
It kind of reminds me of
the show. It all worked out.
Whenever I don't wear makeup, people always think I'm either tired or sick. Our coworker Mike, one time I came in and I was still wearing makeup. I was just wearing less than usual, and he was like, "Oh, you were out partying last night? You tired?" And I was like, "This is my face, Mike. This is just what I look like."
Well, to be fair, you do sometimes come in here with like full on Kiss makeup, like Gene Simmons. But you're not eligible for the Kiss Flyaway. So
no, I'm not, unfortunately. Sadly.
That's on the Shark app. What else is on the Shark app to do with spring?
I compiled a list of some restaurants that us Granite Staters flock to when it gets warm outside. Could be because they have seafood, could be because there's outdoor dining, outdoor seating with gorgeous views, reasons like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, with warmer weather means it's time for new dining options and new dining choices.
There was a weird part of me that mid-sentence, and it's not that I don't appreciate you, but I was genuinely be like, I'm just going to go to the Beach Plum now.
Let's go to the Beach Plum. Why are we here?
Let's
go.
Let's set up a time. You drive by there a lot. Let's set up. That's where you're going to meet Sadie. You say you go for your beach drives.
No, let's go to the one in Portsmouth.
No, you got to go to the OG.
No, the one in Portsmouth, because Plato's Closet is right there, and I shop there all the time.
Nope, you got to come to the OG. You got to come for the full experience. Get the Sadie Daddy. Get the salt air. It'll cure you of all your ills.
Sure. Of which you have many.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
What's your prediction? Celtics post a Game 6 win in Philly, or a Craigslist ad for a new coach?
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
So we were just talking about how Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. But apparently, a lot of flowers in New England have to go through customs first.
What do you mean they have to go through customs?
They have to be examined before they're put on the shelves for purchasing.
Where are they coming from? Are they coming from outside the U.S.?
Yeah, a lot of them are actually. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Do you ever? I certainly never do. Do you ever stop and think about where these lovely flower bouquets come from?
Well, I stop and smell the roses, and I never stop and tell the roses. So That sounded a lot better in my head.
Sounded better in your head. You know, we've all had moments like that. I know that after a couple drinks, once or twice, I'll think something in my head.
No, not
and then
me.
I'll say it out loud, and then I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, not me, man. It's just tea with honey. That's just...
You own up to it. You own up to everything.
I'm dumb. I do. I'm dumb the old-fashioned way. I am someone that owns up. But if you want to go on the Shark app, this is a very interesting thing. I'm going to check this out. The flowers have to go through customs.
They do.
That's so bizarre.
And the reason makes sense, but it's not one you necessarily think of. It wouldn't be at the top of your head.
I want to see the guy at Manchester Airport or at Logan Airport who gets caught having flowers in his pants. Like, that's the guy I want to meet. Like, why are you what are you in jail for? I tried to smuggle in drugs. What about you? I had to smuggle in illegal animals. What about you? I had roses in my trousers.
I like the voice, too.
Yeah.
Adds a lot of character to it.
I'm doing some voice work. I got Chris Sheridan from Family Guy on the show today.
Tell him to do some voice impressions.
That's my audition.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Donald Trump took part in a town hall meeting in New Hampshire, which got awkward when he tried to kiss a woman who wound up being Steven Tyler. Researchers may create new Notorious B.I.G. songs using AI, while they'll create new Tupac songs using nothing. After a long battle with hiccups, sports legend Bo Jackson says he even tried smelling the butt of a porcupine, which got even weirder when he said, but that had nothing to do with the hiccups.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Well, I wrote something for the Shark app, and you won't believe this. Megan has questions about it.
It's almost like we do this every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are you talking about this time? What's got your nose out of joint?
Well, I'm disappointed that you accidentally drove your Jeep onto a runway at Pease. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
It was a long time ago. It was about almost 24 years ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. What happened was you go to the Shark app, read the article, how I made this mistake. It has to do with some construction I was not aware of. Excuses.
No, I'd had a really serious illness that summer. I hadn't been out. But I will say this, my parents did volunteer. I was coming from a doctor's appointment, a checkup months after, and they volunteered. Are you sure you don't want us to give you a ride? No, not me. I'm 16. I got my license. I didn't know the area anymore. They had redone everything. Like, I finally the other day was driving by, because I love driving by Pease and seeing planes come in and everything. And then I was like, hey, dude, you drove out there once, right? And so I ran it by my mom. She goes, oh, yeah. And she never told my dad. So I was finally able to, he sadly passed away, but I was able to tell this story that I'm probably going to hear from some people, like some of his friends. Not in a bad way, but just like Rineman's kid drove onto the runway at Pease. But shout out to everyone at Pease. They were very nice about it and didn't put me in jail. Go to the Shark app if you want to find out how I wound up driving my Jeep onto the runway at Pease Airport. I'm so sorry. Well, this is very exciting. My guest here on Rineman in the Morning is a good friend of mine. He is the creator and executive producer of Resident Alien, runaway hit on the Sci-Fi Network, also executive producer for a long time on Family Guy, and he's from here in New Hampshire, from Guilford, New Hampshire. Please welcome to Rineman in the Morning, my friend, Chris Sheridan. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great, John.
First of all, tell us about the show, because people need to check it out. This is one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
People definitely need to check it out. The premise is pretty simple. I mean, it's basically about a alien who comes to Earth and, hides in plain sight as a human and observes human behavior. I mean, that's the very simple sort of pitch on it. There's a lot of really great characters and there's, a great world that we've been lucky enough to develop with incredible actors, and there's some very dark comedy. There's dark drama. This alien has come here to sort of kill everybody, and then is starting to realize that maybe he shouldn't kill everyone because he's starting to realize that humans are not what he expected them to be.
In addition to Resident Alien, you were a writer and executive producer for a show near and dear to New Englanders, Family Guy.
Yeah.
Family Guy. How did you become involved with Seth MacFarlane and Family Guy?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was out of work, and I had some meetings, and my agent said, hey, there's one show left hiring. He's this kid from Rhode Island who's like 24 years old, and it's a cartoon. And I immediately was like, well, my career is over.
Ugh.
Like, I'll never work again. This is what it's become. I had these hopes of being on like Frasier and all these great like classic sitcoms. So I went in. Seth was there with his Coke bottle glasses and his weird Caesar haircut and his rugby shirt. And he was like every nerd I knew in high school. And he was from Rhode Island. I'm from New Hampshire. And definitely the New England thing, we had a lot in common. I loved every second.
In your opinion, why are TV writers on strike right now?
So writers' pay has gone down. Studio profits are skyrocketing because of streaming. And, we want a fair deal. We want higher minimums. We want a minimum number of writers. The number of writers in writers' rooms is going down. We used to have 8, 10, 12, 15 writers in a writers' room. Now there's shows that have like 3. The studios are just looking to do less and less as far as payment and support of writers and get more out of fewer writers.
Well, I know I speak for everyone that loves Resident Alien and Family Guy and everything you do and everything that's on TV. I hope it gets resolved soon.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Sixers got beat so bad in Philly, they moved in with their auntie and uncle in Bel Air.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
I am so excited about this. So there is a restaurant with locations in New Hampshire and Maine, and they serve burgers. And this burger was named one of the best in the nation. And honestly, I think it's a well-deserved award.
Good. So it's a cheeseburger in Maine, New Hampshire. It's a restaurant you can find throughout these states. And it was named what again?
One of the best ones in the nation.
Okay, that's pretty big.
What I want to know from you is where is your favorite place to get cheeseburgers?
Ooh, can I be honest with you? I've started to kind of cut back on the cheeseburgers a little bit.
Honestly, I respect it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shame you for it. We don't shame here on Rineman in the Morning.
Thank you. No, I've started doing like turkey dogs and stuff. Yeah, but like there's just something, I don't know why, but just like, I don't know if it's age or whatever, but I appreciate cheeseburgers, but I can't remember, I'll be honest, McDonald's, but there's a New Hampshire tie, and the brothers from Manchester created McDonald's.
That's right.
And so that counts. And sometimes I'll get that with Sadie, like in a pinch. But yeah, I'm not a big burger person anymore. But some people are, and I'm glad to hear about this.
I do like burgers. I will say, oftentimes I enjoy chicken sandwiches.
I think we've gotten to the point where we've run out here. This reminds me of the Seinfeld where Jay Peterman's like, well, I'm dry.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Sunday is Mother's Day. I can't wait to call Mom and ask why she hasn't dated Pete Davidson yet. Lowe's is giving away free flowers for Mother's Day. So is IKEA, but you have to assemble the flowers yourself. Hooters is offering free wings for moms on Mother's Day. When asked if they'll do that for Father's Day, waitresses said, I'm sorry, what is a father?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
This is so incredibly beautiful. So there was an albino moose spotted up in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it makes
Wait a second, an albino in Canada. Are you sure it just wasn't a Canadian? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just had Howie Mandel and Barenaked Ladies on. That was just uncalled for.
You gotta show love to the Canadians
and
out there,
I went
Rineman.
for it. I still went for it. But an albino moose, and it was up in Canada?
It was up in Canada, but the question is, are there albino moose in New Hampshire?
Ooh. Yeah. Have you ever seen one?
I personally haven't, but I also wonder, our coworker wondered this, is it really an albino moose, or is it just a white moose?
What's the difference between...
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Can I tell you something? Even though I've lived in New England for a great deal of my life, I've never seen a moose.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Neither have I. I actually wrote about this fairly recently, but I've never seen a moose except taxidermy.
Okay. We're going to get out there.
And on the internet.
And on the internet.
I don't know if I'd want to see a moose in the wild, though, because I feel like if I see a moose in the wild, it's probably because it, like, ran out in front of my car.
Yeah, and you got to be careful.
In which case, no one has a good time.
Because if you see a moose, you know there's a squirrel, and there's probably a couple, like, evil Russians chasing them, too.
What if the squirrel is riding the moose?
No, it'd be flying. It's
flying squirrel.
Yeah, it's Rocky the Squirrel. Did you not get where I was going there?
No.
That's right, because you're a child.
That's true. I'm not even going to try to deny it.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Jason Tatum's your brother who buys mom flowers on the way over, and she winds up liking them best.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point on a Friday where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan, as always, has questions about it.
We can see the Northern Lights in New Hampshire this week?
Okay, now here's the thing. A lot of people were curious, and they're like, what towns? But that's the thing. No one seems to know. There were 2 New Hampshire towns nearby to the Shark Tank, by the way. That were able to see the Northern Lights in March, last time they were around. So I'm like, that's a good starting point.
I missed it? That makes me sad.
But it's like we've had some clear night skies. And they were saying that definitely Wednesday, Thursday, but maybe tonight there could be some stuff. So you should check the Shark app, check your local meteorologist. Call up Mark Rosenthal at home. He loves that.
Yeah, call us personal.
Of course. And just find out what's going on. Yeah, Northern Lights. Have you ever seen them?
I have not. That makes me sad. I would like to see them. Have you?
No. But you know what else you could do? You could also just go out, grab a toad, lick it real good, and then look up at the sky and you see your own Northern Lights.
It's time for your News on the Nines with News Guy.
The world's oldest dog just turned 31 years old. You can tell he's old because instead of running from the vacuum, he tells it to speak up. Yes, a dog in Portugal is 31 years old. This dog is so old, he wears a Life Alert collar. That's right, the world's oldest dog turned 31. He's so old, he needs a Viagra to hump your leg.
And that's your News on the Nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
It's not just the Celtics that are making news in the sports world here in New England. The Patriots announced that on their home opener on September 10th, they're going to honor Tom Brady. That's right, Tom Brady's coming back to the Patriots family. You can read all about it on the Shark app, and let's get an update on it here.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Patriots going to honor Tom Brady with a ceremony and a helmet and a uniform and a plea to get the hell out there and play.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
It's Rineman in the Morning, and you don't need Hallmark when you got the Shark. Adam and Pelham, who we saying Happy Mother's Day to?
Yeah, well, I'd love to say Happy Mother's Day to my wife, Denise.
Melanie in Barrington.
My coworkers at the Oyster River High School cafeteria.
James in Kingston.
Yeah, Nadine.
Happy Mother's Day, Nadine. Lisa in Dover.
I'd love to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Doris.
Sean in Hampton.
Well, my wife and my mother-in-law.
Amy in Somersworth.
I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom and stepmom.
Chris Sheridan from Family Guy. Anyone you want to say hi to?
Yes, I do. My uncle Tommy Sheridan is living in Rye with his wife, my aunt Bridget.
Chrissy from the Duncan's drive-thru in Greenland.
I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom and all the mothers out there, and especially to my mom because my mom is the best.
You know him, you love him. Patrick in Newmarket.
My mother, a.k.a. Madre, a.k.a. Mama Dukes, a.k.a. now Grammy. She's the best. She's my best friend. She's my rock. 34 years she's been there for me. Love her to death. Gonna see her this weekend.
Nancy in Northampton, I love you. Thanks, Mom. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. But we got one more person to give you a shout out.
I'm Charlie Butters, and it's time for your Friday Flix Mother's Day edition. If you're a mom who likes to swing, check out Mamma Mia. It's a 2-hour story about a paternal dispute that could be settled in 5 minutes on the Maury Povich Show. From Friday Flix to Freaky Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan star in the film where a mother and daughter switch places when Lindsay gets pulled over by the police. And now, it's time for our emotionally distant dedication. This one goes out to Myra, my mother-in-law. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but to show you how I feel about our special relationship, I think you should watch Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. I'm Charlie Butters, and remember to keep an eye on the screen and your nose in the flowers.